He was carved from winter itself, cold, beautiful, and merciless. Kang Minho, the Ghost King, the youngest Mafia boss in Seoul's history, a man whose name was whispered in fear across 3 continents. At 28, he had built an empire on calculated ruthlessness. Politicians sought his favor. Crime lords paid tribute. Business magnates trembled when his name appeared on their caller ID. Today was his wedding day, but it looked more like a funeral dressed in white silk. The cathedral was filled with power, senators in the front pews, Yakuza representatives along the sides, Russian Bratva members near the back. All of them watching, calculating, wondering why the Ghost King, who had never shown interest in anyone, was suddenly getting married, and to whom. Amara Thompson stood at the altar in a wedding dress that felt like a prison. 18 years old. She had graduated high school 3 weeks ago. Her biggest worry had been choosing a prom dress. Now she was promising forever to a man she had met once, 24 hours ago. When he came to collect his debt, her father's gambling addiction had finally destroyed everything. $2.3 million owed to Minho's syndicate. Money Marcus Thompson would never have. The collectors had given him 1 week to pay or die. Minho had offered a different solution: marriage to him. The debt disappears. Her father lives. Amara had 1 hour to decide. She looked at this monster in his perfect black suit, his face carved from marble, his dark eyes burning with something she couldn't name, and she said yes, because what choice did she have? But what Amara didn't know, what no one in that cathedral knew except one man, was the truth. Kang Minho had been waiting for this moment for 10 years, since the day he saved an 8-year-old girl from a human trafficking warehouse. Since the day he looked into her terrified eyes and knew with absolute certainty that she was his fate, his destiny, his reason for existing. She had no memory of him. He had thought of nothing else for a decade. This wasn't just a forced marriage. This was the culmination of the longest, most patient obsession in Seoul's criminal underworld. A man who had built an empire of fear had spent 10 years learning to wait, learning to be gentle, learning to become worthy of a girl he couldn't have until she became a woman. She thought it was slavery. He thought it was destiny. What happened when she learned the truth? Stick around, because this isn't just a story of forced marriage. It's a story of fate, obsession, and a love that waited a decade to be claimed. 3 weeks before the wedding, Amara Thompson's biggest problem was deciding between UCLA and Berkeley for art history. She lived in a small apartment in Los Angeles with her father Marcus, a jazz musician whose talent was only exceeded by his addiction to gambling. Life wasn't perfect, but it was hers. She had dreams, museums in Europe, galleries in New York, a quiet life surrounded by beauty and history. Then the collectors came. Across the Pacific in Seoul, Kang Minho ruled an empire called the Obsidian Syndicate. Not just a criminal organization, a shadow government. They controlled shipping routes that brought electronics from China and Korea to the Americas, real estate developments across 3 countries, cryptocurrency exchanges that laundered billions, nightclubs where deals were made and bodies were buried. The Obsidian Syndicate's headquarters was the Black Tower, 40 stories of steel and glass in Gangnam, Seoul's most expensive district. From the outside, it looked like any other corporate building. Inside, it was a fortress, security that rivaled military installations. The top 3 floors, the penthouse, belonged to Minho alone. That penthouse was a reflection of its owner. Everything black, white, or chrome. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Minimalist furniture that cost more than most people's houses. No photographs, no personal items, no warmth. Just cold, expensive efficiency. Like the man who lived there, Minho had built this empire from nothing. Orphaned at 14 when his parents were killed by a rival gang. Homeless at 15. Recruited by Director Choi, a crime lord with vision, at 16. By 18, Minho had proven himself so ruthlessly effective that Choi made him a partner. By 25, Minho had absorbed Choi's organization through a carefully orchestrated campaign of intimidation and strategic eliminations. By 28, he controlled more territory than any single crime boss in Korean history. They called him the Ghost King because he never raised his voice, never showed emotion, never needed to. Men died from his silence. His inner circle was small. Ye-sung, his second-in-command and childhood friend, the only person who knew the real Minho beneath the ice. Minji, his enforcer, a woman as deadly as she was beautiful, who handled problems that required subtlety. And Director Choi, his former mentor, now advisory role, the old man who had trained Minho and still commanded his respect. 6 months ago, a file crossed Minho's desk. Standard debt collection, Marcus Thompson, Los Angeles, jazz musician. Gambling debts totaling $2.3 million through a loan company that was a front for the Obsidian Syndicate. Assets minimal, means to pay none. Standard procedure: escalate to physical intimidation, seize what assets exist, make an example. Minho reviewed the file personally. He always did. Control every detail, trust nothing to chance. He saw the name of the debtor's daughter, listed as next of kin, Amara Thompson. His hand froze on the paper. That name, he knew that name. He pulled up the attached identification photo. The driver's license image was small, bureaucratic, unflattering. It didn't matter. He would have recognized her anywhere. The 8-year-old girl from the warehouse. Now 18. Now a woman. Everything changed in that moment. Minho made a phone call that would alter both their lives forever. Not violence. Not the standard intimidation, marriage. He was going to marry her, finally. After waiting 10 years, fate had brought her back to him, and this time he would never let her go. The knock on the door came at 7 in the evening. Marcus Thompson, deep in a whiskey bottle, answered it with the resignation of a man who knew his time had come. Kang Minho stood in the doorway alone. No enforcers, no muscle, just him in a perfectly tailored black suit, looking like death dressed for dinner. Amara was in her room packing for UCLA. She heard her father's sob and came running. Found him on his knees. Found a stranger in their living room, radiating the kind of cold power she'd only seen in movies. "Your father owes me $2.3 million, Minho said. His English was perfect, barely accented. His eyes were on Amara. Only on Amara. He has no means to pay. Standard protocol would be violent, permanent. Marcus was begging, literally begging. Amara had never seen her father like this. Broken, terrified. "I'm offering an alternative," Minho continued, still looking at her. "Marriage to me, the debt disappears. Your father lives. He enters rehabilitation at my expense. You have 30 seconds to decide." Amara's mind went blank with shock. "I'm 18, I just graduated. You can't, I can." His voice was silk over steel. "I own your father's life. I'm offering you a choice he doesn't have. Yes or no. 20 seconds. "Baby, please," Marcus sobbed. "Please, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." She looked at this beautiful, terrifying stranger, saw something flicker in his eyes when he looked at her. Not cruelty, something else. Something that somehow scared her more than violence would have. Possession. Like he already owned her. Like this wasn't a negotiation but a formality. "Perhaps you should be more careful with your words. Or perhaps you'd like to continue this conversation in private?" It was a threat, wrapped in politeness. Tanaka bowed, apologized, retreated. The room stayed quiet. Everyone staring at this 18-year-old girl who just put a Yakuza lieutenant in his place. Minho leaned close to her ear. 7 languages? His voice was different, still controlled but warmer, almost impressed. "You never stop surprising me." Amara turned to look at him. "Really look at him. You don't know anything about me. This is a transaction, a debt payment." His eyes held hers, intense, dark, burning with something she couldn't name. "I know you prefer jazz to pop music. Coltrane specifically. I know you sketch in the margins of your textbooks. Mostly architectural details. I know you wanted to study art history at UCLA. I know you're afraid of thunderstorms. Have been since your mother died in one when you were 3. I know everything, Amara. Every single thing." Her breath caught. How? How could he possibly know these things? "Who are you?" she whispered. Minho's smile was sad small. "I'm the man who's been waiting 10 years for you to ask me that question." Before she could respond, he was pulled away by his lieutenants. Business, always business. But Minji, his female enforcer, approached Amara, studied her with cool, assessing eyes. "He's never looked at anyone like that," Minji said quietly. "Not once in 10 years. Whatever hold you have on him, use it carefully. Men like Minho burn worlds when they love. And he loves you. I don't know why, but he does. Living in the Black Tower was like being imprisoned in a luxury hotel. Amara had everything. Credit cards with no limits, a wardrobe that fashion magazines would envy, a studio space when Minho learned she liked to sketch, filled with supplies she'd never dreamed of affording. But she was a prisoner. Couldn't leave without armed bodyguards. Couldn't call her father. Minho monitored all communications. Couldn't even walk to a different floor without someone tracking her movements. She had her own bedroom. A suite, really. Minho had been true to his word. He didn't force himself on her. Didn't even try. His own rooms were on the opposite side of the penthouse. Sometimes she went days without seeing him, but she felt him everywhere. Watching, waiting. 3 weeks into the marriage, reality crashed through her gilded cage. She was being driven to Korean language lessons. Yes, Minho had enrolled her. You should know the language of your new home, he'd said. Like this was permanent. Like she'd ever consider this home. The attack came at an intersection. Black vans, armed men, Chinese triad, her bodyguard shouted. They wanted her. Wanted to hurt Minho by taking his new wife. Her bodyguards were professional, efficient. They repelled the attack. But Amara saw real violence for the first time. Saw men die, saw blood paint the Seoul streets. She threw up afterward, couldn't stop shaking. Minho came home early, found her curled up in her studio, still trembling. He didn't touch her, just sat across from her. I'm sorry you saw that. I'm sorry you're in danger because of me. Then let me go, she whispered. Please, I can't. His voice was raw, honest. I physically cannot do that, Amara. I tried. The night of our wedding, I told myself if you asked to leave, I'd let you. But I can't. The thought of you gone out of my protection, vulnerable. He stopped. I'd rather die. She looked at him, really looked at him. Saw exhaustion in his eyes, loneliness. This powerful, terrifying man was lonely. Why me, she asked. You could have anyone. Models, actresses, women who'd want this life. Why force me? Because I don't want anyone else, Minho said simply. I never have. Inside the organization, not everyone approved. Director Choi cornered Minho in his office. She's 18. This obsession will destroy you. You waited until she was legal. Yes, but she's still a child. Minho's response was ice. She's my wife. That's the end of discussion. But at night alone in his rooms, he watched her through security feeds. Watched her sketch, watched her cry. Watched her adapt to this world she never wanted. He stayed away, giving her space, even though it was killing him. Because love, real love, meant waiting, even when waiting hurt. The thunderstorm hit Seoul without warning, violent, aggressive. Lightning turning night to day, thunder shaking the Black Tower's reinforced windows. Amara was in her suite, trying not to panic. She was 18, too old to be afraid of storms, but her mother had died in one. Car accident, hydroplaning. Amara was 3. The fear had never left. She was huddled on her bed, headphones in, trying to block out the sound when her door opened. Minho. No bodyguards. No suit. Just him in a t-shirt and sleep pants. Human for once. May I come in? He asked. She nodded, too scared to question it. He sat on the floor, not on her bed, keeping distance. And he started talking. Low, calm, steady. Stories about growing up on Seoul's streets. About being 14 and watching his parents murdered. About living in alleys. About violence and survival. He was distracting her, and it was working. The storm raged outside. Inside, his voice was an anchor. How's my father? Amara asked, calming down enough to speak. Minho was honest. Always honest with her. 3 months sober, he's doing well. Asks about you every day. I send him photos you approve. She started crying. Relief, guilt, grief. Why do all this? I'm just some girl whose father owed you money. Why not just, why me? You're not just anything, Minho said fiercely. You never have been. And then he told her the whole truth. 10 years ago, he was 18, newly in control of his organization. Got a tip about a human trafficking warehouse, children being sold. He went to destroy it. Part revenge. He'd been trafficked himself at 14, escaped through violence. He found 23 children. 22 he sent to authorities. But one, an 8-year-old black girl, was catatonic with trauma. Wouldn't speak, wouldn't move, just stared at nothing. Minho stayed with her until police arrived. Hours. He sat beside her, held her hand, spoke softly in English, which he'd been learning, told her she was safe. Finally, she looked at him, and he saw everything, his future, his purpose, his reason for existence. "I fell in love with you when you were 8 years old," Minho whispered. "Not sexually. God, never that, but soul deep, fate deep. I looked at you and knew you were mine, that I'd wait however long it took, that I'd become whoever I needed to be to deserve you." Amara was shaking. "That's insane." "That's obsession," he agreed. "Yes, I had investigators check on you every 6 months. Not invasive, just making sure you were safe. Happy, I knew about your school achievements, your art, your friends. I knew when you got your license, when you had your first crush." I hated him. He laughed bitterly. "I waited for you to turn 18, counted down the days, and then your father's debt." He looked at her. It was Providence, fate giving me what I'd waited for. A way to have you, keep you, protect you. "This is crazy," Amara breathed. "You know that, right?" "Yes," Minho said, "but it's also love. I've loved you for 10 years. You're the only beautiful thing I've ever wanted that I wasn't willing to destroy to possess." She should hate him, should be terrified, but she saw his truth. He really had waited, really had loved her in his twisted way. And he'd been so careful with her, never forced, never violent toward her, just present, patient, still waiting, even now. "I don't remember you," she whispered. "I know," he said, "but I remember you. Every day for 10 years, I've remembered you." That night, Amara fell asleep in his arms, not in his bed, on her floor, both exhausted from honesty, and when she woke, he was still there, holding her like she might disappear. Amara couldn't stop thinking about his words. The warehouse, 10 years. An 8-year-old girl. She needed to know, needed to understand. She found Yi-sung in his office, demanded the truth. "That warehouse, 10 years ago. I need to see everything." Yi-sung hesitated, looked at her, saw her determination, finally nodded. "Minho will kill me for this." He took her to a secure room, showed her Minho's private files. Photos of her from age 8 to 18, not surveillance, just yearly updates, school photos, public records, checking she was okay, and then a video, the warehouse raid. She watched 18-year-old Minho, already lethal, moving through traffickers like death incarnate. Then she saw herself, tiny, terrified, broken. She watched him kneel beside that child, watched him speak softly. "You're safe now, I promise. I won't let anyone hurt you ever again." And she watched 8-year-old Amara take his hand. She remembered, not much, fragments, a scary place. Men who hurt her, then him, dark eyes, warm hand, safety. But there was more in the file, recent documents, a DNA test, commissioned by Director Choi without Minho's knowledge. Amara read it, and her world exploded. Her mother, who died when Amara was 3, had been Korean-American. Amara knew this, but what she didn't know was her mother's family background. Her mother's maiden name, Kang, the same as Minho's adopted surname. Her mother had been a distant cousin to Director Choi, the man who trained Minho, the man who helped him build his empire. More documents, evidence that her father's gambling debts weren't random. Director Choi had arranged for Marcus Thompson to encounter their loan company, had engineered this entire marriage over years. Amara confronted Choi in his home. You knew who I was. You arranged everything." Choi didn't deny it. "Your mother was family. Estranged, yes, she ran away, married your father against family wishes, but family nonetheless. When she died, I kept track of you from a distance. Then Minho showed me your photo 10 years ago. I recognized the resemblance, and I saw an opportunity." Opportunity. Amara's voice shook. "Minho needed something to live for besides revenge and power. You needed protection your father couldn't provide. I've been orchestrating this for a decade. The debt, the timing, everything." Amara went straight to Minho's office. He was in a meeting with his lieutenants. She didn't care, burst in. "Did you know about my mother? About Choi's manipulation?" Minho went pale. "What?" She told him everything. Watched his face transform from confusion to betrayal to cold rage. He looked at Director Choi, who'd been summoned. "Is this true?" Choi didn't deny it. "Everything I did for you. You needed her. She needed you. I simply facilitated." Minho moved, fast, violent, hands around Choi's throat, lifting him off the ground. "You used her. You used Stop!" Amara screamed. "Minho, stop." He did, instantly, because she asked. He dropped Choi, stood there shaking, his control shattered. I didn't know, Minho said to Amara, voice broken. I swear to you, I thought the debt was real chance. Fate. I never would have. If I'd known he was manipulating. He looked destroyed. You can leave. I'll tear up the contract. Free your father, free you. I won't keep you in a cage built on lies. Amara had a choice, run from this nightmare, or stay with a man who, manipulation aside, genuinely loved her. She looked at him, this powerful, broken, obsessed man, and realized something. She'd fallen for him too, despite everything. Maybe because of everything. I'll stay, she whispered, but on my terms. You want me? Court me, properly. Like I deserve. Minho looked up. Hope and disbelief. I'll spend the rest of my life earning you. The marriage transformed. Minho moved out of the penthouse. Gave Amara complete control. He courted her from a distance. Flowers every morning. Her favorite, which he somehow knew. Dates. Always asking permission first. Dinners at restaurants where he made her laugh. Museums, discovering he actually understood art. Jazz clubs where he revealed he'd been studying Coltrane for years for her. Gifts that showed real understanding. Not jewelry, art supplies. First edition books about African art history. Vinyl records from her mother's favorite Nigerian artists. He told her about his day. Business without the violence. She told him about hers. Korean lessons which she was excelling at. Sketching the Seoul skyline, making friends with Minji. They were learning each other, not as captor and captive, as equals. And slowly Amara felt it. Real affection, real desire. But the underworld doesn't forgive weakness. With Minho distracted by his personal life, enemies saw opportunity. The Chinese triad planned a major strike, targeting the Black Tower itself. Intelligence reached Yi-sung. They wanted to kill Minho and take Amara. For the first time, Minho included her in the planning. You're my wife, my partner. You deserve to know the dangers. She saw his tactical genius, the way his mind worked. Chessmaster thinking 10 moves ahead. They locked down the tower, called in all loyalists, set traps, prepared for war. I want to fight beside you, Amara said. No. Minho's terror was obvious. Please, stay in the safe room. I can't lose you. I can't. She kissed him. Their first real kiss since the wedding. You waited 10 years. I'm not letting you die now. But I'll stay safe for you. The traitor was identified, a lieutenant bribed by the triad. He was eliminated, quickly, 11:47 p.m. Intelligence said the attack comes at midnight. Minho gathered his people. They were outnumbered, 50 of theirs versus 200 triad enforcers. Minho made one final stop, Amara's safe room. If I don't come back, you're coming back, she interrupted, fierce, certain we have a future to build. You promised to spend your life earning me. I'm holding you to that. He smiled, real smile. I love you. God, I love you so much. I know, she said. Now go win, and come back to me. At 11:59, the tower's alarm screamed. They were here, midnight. Explosions rocked the lower floors. The triad came in force, breaching teams, heavy weapons, coordinated assault. But Minho's preparation held. Ambush points activated. His people, outnumbered but defending home ground, fought with desperate efficiency. 12:17 a.m. Minji's team repelled the western assault. 23 triad down, 4 of theirs injured. The attackers adapted, started using explosives. 12:34 a.m. They breached floor 30, 10 floors from the penthouse. Yi-sung's defensive line held but barely. Minho fought alongside his people. He was terrifying in combat. Precise, brutal, efficient. Every move calculated. 12:51 a.m. Disaster. A breach team bypassed defenses through the ventilation system. They reached floor 38, heading for the safe room. Minho realized, abandoned his position, sprinted through the tower. Amara. The safe room door exploded inward. 5 triad enforcers entered, guns raised. Amara was there, supposedly helpless. But Marcus Thompson's daughter had rhythm in her blood, and she'd been taking self-defense lessons from Minji in secret, 3 months of training. First enforcer went down to a fire extinguisher to the skull, second to a knife from the kitchenette. Third and fourth overwhelmed her. Then Minho arrived. He was a demon, destroyed them. But the 5th enforcer had a detonator. Suicide vest, he'd blow the entire floor. Yi-sung, who'd followed Minho, saw it. Didn't hesitate. Tackled the man. They went through the shattered window together. 38 floors down, Minho screamed, collapsed. His best friend, his brother, gone. Amara held him as he broke. He saved us. He saved you. Honor that. Win this. 1 a.m. The battle ended. Triad forces retreated. 53 enemy dead. 14 of theirs wounded. 3 dead, including Yi-sung. But they'd won. The Black Tower stood. The investigation revealed the full truth. Director Choi hadn't just manipulated Amara's marriage, he'd been playing both sides, planning to eliminate Minho and take control. Using the Triad as his weapon, he was found in his home, preparing to flee. Minho confronted him. "You raised me, trained me. Why?" Choi's response was cold. "Because you were supposed to be a weapon, not a man. She made you weak." Minho's smile was colder. "She made me human. There's a difference. And now you'll learn what happens when you threaten my humanity." He didn't kill Choi, did worse, stripped him of everything, handed evidence to authorities, a slow legal death, decades in prison. 4 days later, Yi-sung's funeral, private, just those who really knew him. Amara stood beside Minho. He was hollow with grief. She took his hand. "Lei loved you, wanted you happy, so let's be happy. Build the life he died protecting." Minho looked at her, really looked. "I love you. I've loved you since you were a child. I know it's not wrong," she interrupted. "You waited, were patient, were kind to let me choose. That's not wrong, that's love." He kissed her, not gentle. "Desperate, grateful, real. Marry me again," he whispered. "Choose me this time, not because of debt, because you want to." "Yes," she said. "Yes, I choose you." 6 months later, the Black Tower had been rebuilt, but different now. The penthouse had color. Amara's artwork on the walls, jazz playing softly. Her studio took up half of floor 39. Minho worked from home more, not the Ghost King anymore. Just a man building a legitimate life. He started transitioning the syndicate, using Amara's education and intelligence to help. She was brilliant at it. Art history major turned business consultant. They created legal enterprises, security companies, import-export, all legitimate. The criminal elements were slowly divested. Min-ji became CEO of their security firm, the best in Asia. Amara at 19 was not the terrified girl from the wedding. She was confident, Minho's equal partner. Spoke fluent Korean now. Wore her heritage proudly, both African American and Korean. She'd found her Nigerian grandmother's family connected with them. Found her Korean family through her mother's line. Built bridges. Minho at 29 was not the Ghost King. He smiled, laughed, lived, not just survived. They renewed their vows, small ceremony, real friends only. Amara walked down the aisle choosing him. The kiss was real, the love was real. They still had separate studios. She liked space, he respected it, but most nights they were tangled together, sharing nightmares, sharing dreams, building something real. "Do you regret it?" Minho asked one night. "The way we started?" Amara thought about it. "I regret the fear, the force. But if that's what it took to get here," she looked at him. "I don't know if I'd change it. That makes me crazy, doesn't it?" "It makes you mine," he said, kissing her. "And I'm yours always." But the underworld doesn't forget. There were whispers, new threats, families wanting revenge. "Let them come," Amara said, sketching while Minho worked. "We survived worse." Together, he agreed. Always together. The Ghost King had become a man, the debt payment had become a queen, and their love, born from obsession and patience, was stronger than any empire. He waited 10 years for her to grow up. She took 6 months to fall in love with him. In the end, time was irrelevant. Some loves are worth every second of waiting. If you believe that love knows no boundaries, not age, not race, not circumstance, subscribe now and comment where you're watching from. Because this story of the Ghost King and his chosen queen is just beginning, and you'll want to see what happens when the most dangerous man in Korea finally has something worth protecting more than power: his wife, his equal, his fate.